to. How about biggest surprise, Gordon? Biggest surprise.
You go first.
Okay, so I was hoping you'd go first because you're gonna say Donovan Brazier not making the team, and I was gonna explain to you why. Actually, it's Fred Curley. It's the men's 100. It's the men's 100 as a whole because it wasn't just about one person not making the team, and especially when you consider Brazier's banged up. Okay, it's not the most shocking thing, even though he's the American record holder, even though he's the reigning world champion, even though he has not, get this stat, Gordon, had not lost to an American in a final since the 2016 Olympic trials, according to my thorough research. Hadn't lost to an American in an 800 in a final since 2016 Olympic trials. So obviously that's stunning.
Wow.
But then you're like, okay, injuries happen. That's part of the game. The 100, again, I'll repeat this sentence that I said during the live show after the race happened. If you had told me at the beginning of the year, if you had told me even 2 months ago, Fred Curley would be on the 100 team and Noah Lyles would not, I would be completely confused as to what you were talking about. Because number one, we could not have foreseen Curley moving to the event. And if you want to go even farther back, hey, in January, before he ran 991, could Fred Curley pull this off? No, nobody would have thought that. And obviously we thought Lyles was going to get that spot. I said Lyles and Bromell were co-favorites coming in to the season. So he falls back, Lyles that is. Curley makes this transition to the 100 and just absolutely knocks it out of the park, wins one of the fastest 100, or sorry, not wins, but qualifies in one of the fastest 100s ever, runs 986 at the perfect time. Just a clutch performance. He'd never been through rounds in 100 before, really, in a championship style meet, and pulls it off. So that to me is my biggest surprise because it involved the entire event, not just one person not making it.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely my most entertaining event because it had the Fred Curley factor. You had the depth of everyone in it. You had Justin Gatlin trying to go for another team at his old age. There's just so many cool storylines from different athletes here and there. I mean, Trayvon Bromell, like, of any other time, you'd be like his story of going from out of the sport to all of a sudden back on top. Trayvon Bromell winning became an afterthought because he just proved that he was going to win. It was all about who was going to get second and third. But yeah, I would agree. That was a big surprise. I would say my big surprise, obviously, I wanted to say Donovan Brazier. I mean, that's everyone's surprise because because I gave him best race. I know he probably doesn't want best race in this situation, but I want to kind of spread out. I mean, the biggest surprise happened before the meet. The biggest surprise was the Shelby Houlihan doping ban for 4 years for nandrolone, something that they are protesting, something that other people are saying, nope, it's you're out, So just the whole idea that Shelby Houlihan, who has been the star of the women's distance running for the past 4 years, is now out for the next 4. No one saw that coming, and that obviously is the biggest surprise. Like, to have that open up the Olympic trials, no one could saw that coming. And I made a joke. If I told you what would be the odds of someone taking the Donovan Brazier and Shelby Houlihan won't be on the Olympic team, parlay, like that would be the amount of money you would make off of that would be incredible. Because they were considered the ultimate locks in their respective events. So it just shows, hey, Olympic trials, anything can happen.
Yeah. No, and we were watching that 1500 together, and man, that's a sensational race, and you almost forgot that she wasn't in it, and it was a week or so ago. Time moves so quickly now that we thought that she was going to be running this race, and we hadn't seen her, but she'll be fine when it comes time for the trials, not knowing any of what had been going on. Okay, good picks there for biggest surprise. How about biggest breakthrough, Gordon? Do you want to go first on this one?
Biggest breakthrough, I mean, you have a bunch, but I could argue the women's 15, second and third place. Second place, Corey McGee running 4 flat, huge PR by 3 seconds. I mentioned earlier in one of the other pods about her being stagnant for 5 straight years after making a world team in 2013. From 2013 to 2018, she was just like not showing any improvement, just like
Mhm.
what's going on, and she's in a prime of her career. But then the next 3 years, slow, steady improvement to ultimately now making her first Olympic team, running 4 flat, huge PB. Corey McGee definitely had a big breakthrough, especially on the. Normally, you don't have this breakthrough this late in your career. So I would say Corey McGee, and then obviously Heather McLean making the team because no one saw it.
From
She almost
where?
didn't even make the final. I mean, yeah, UMass Amherst. There's Corey McGee on your screen making the team. She says, "My Olympic dream was born 17 years ago, and finally I can stop wondering if I have what it takes to achieve it. Team USA, it is worth it." I mean, it's true. Stop wondering if I have what it takes. When you go 5 straight years of stagnation from 2013 2018, you probably have those thoughts. And she just grinded through it, and now 2021, she's an Olympian. And then Heather McLean from UMass Amherst, the better of the two Amherst, better of two UMasses,
We
making the
just got them
team.
back on our side. We got the whole university
Yeah.
system back on our side, and now you're sowing divisions.
Hey, I'm sure Amherst be on that. Yeah, it's fine. But Heather McLean, she was
Yeah.
DQ. She didn't make the final, but then had a
Right.
protest to get into the final to be the 13th athlete. And then luckily that protest worked because now she's on the Olympic team. She went from just sitting at home watching the finals to being in the finals and making the team. So that was definitely the breakthrough.
I went with Isaiah Jewett. There's a lot of good candidates here, but I went with Isaiah Jewett in the 800. He improved his personal best from 146. That was what he was at in May. At the beginning of May, he was 146, and now he's a 143 guy, 143.85 to be exact. So it's just been PR after PR for him the last 2 months, and to put it all out there the way he did and run as aggressively the way he did and to hang on. I was so fixated on what was going on with Brazier in that race. It wasn't until I watched it the second time that I noticed how late Jewett was leading in this. He was very close to winning this thing. He was very close to pulling off just a spectacular upset. And you can see his progression there. So yeah, 144, 147 or 6, excuse me. Then he PRs at Pac-12s, drops his time down again at NCAA outdoors, and then he was just taking seconds off after every single major competition. So I'd go with Isaiah Jewett here for biggest breakthrough. You look farther down the list, there's all sorts of good performances because there were a lot of college kids who really came to play. Like I'm thinking like Mekhi Williams in the 100, got 5th, Gordon. Ran 9.9 and got 5th.
Yeah. There's a lot of those like non-team making performances that kind of can get overlooked because everyone just thinks who's top 3 and then that's the story and everyone forgets 4 through 8. But yeah, you look at some major PBs set in some finals in multiple events. It's pretty good. Yeah, like Mekhi Williams. Who else had a good college? I mean, even
Haymack.
like someone like Haymack ran well. Haymack ran really well. She ran like what 405 or something.
404.
404.
Hennis
Getting
ran well.
6. You have Ellie Hennis getting 6th in the 5K. That's impressive after winning the NCAA 5K. Daniel Nixon and Samuel Voles, they both ran 145s out of college. Yeah, it's just there's been a bunch of like low key, like, whoa, that no one really saw that coming. I mean, you could talk about the men's 400 where there were 4 college kids that made the final. Then teammates go 3-4 in Randolph Ross and Trevor Stewart from North Carolina A&T. So yeah, there's a bunch of college kids pixie dust all over the Olympic trials.